Howdy folks, this is Checkers back again with another Fallout 4 video, here to take a look at some of the new power and lighting options in the Wasteland Workshop DLC. So let's jump right on into it and open up our settlement interface, and we will come over to power. And under power we start out with generators, and if you look at the spinning generator at the bottom of the screen, you will notice in the upper right hand corner of its little green box there is a small green plus symbol. This means that there's something new in the category, and if we open the category up, come through small, medium, large, and windmill over to the fusion generator. It requires 12 gears, 10 screws, 20 copper, 25 aluminum, 12 nuclear material, 8 crystal, and 2 rubber to produce a whopping 100 power. Now these are the generators that we usually take fusion cores from, and it's really outstanding. I mean, that is an outstanding amount of power for one unit to produce. So let's go ahead and drop that right on down. And it's considerably quieter, or at least a different sound than the other generators. I've already wired up the building, so let's take a line from this power conduit over to the generator. And we will take another line from this conduit over to the generator as well. Alright, now that we have power, let's take a look at what's going on in lighting, as we see the small green plus symbol in the lights as well, but not over in power connectors and switches. And the first new light we come to is a cage wall light. Let's go ahead and we can plant it right here on the side of the generator. We can say that it's there to help us operate the generator. It requires 1 glass, 1 copper, and 2 steel, and ambient power. This is something we should go over. If you want more information on power control and lighting, I have a video specific to that, and I will put that right here. If you look in the upper right hand corner of this video, you will see a small letter I come up. These are cards, and I will link that video there. You can just click on it and you will learn all about power and control. But what we should mention for everything here is that things have a requirement. So this construction light, for instance, requires 1 power. That means that it needs to be planted. This is not new, but just for demonstration, we need to plant this light, but it's not lighting up immediately because it needs a line from something else, say this power conduit. And we connect it, and now it has lights and power. But let's go ahead and scrap that for right now because we want to concentrate on the other lights. But this light, as you see, it has the lightning bolt requirement in the lower section of its requirement box, but no number. That means that it uses ambient light. So either a generator or one of the conduits or one of these pylons needs to be nearby, and it just gets power ambiently from that source. Okay, back into lights now, and we see that the next new light we have is a street light. So why don't we come over here and plant this one right next to the tree, and we will take a line from the tree's conduit to the top of the street light, and it lights on up, and it looks like that. It requires 2 glass, 2 copper, and 20 steel. We have another new street light that looks about like this. We will put it down, say here, and we'll take another line from this street light to this street light. You see it has a small bell housing and has that kind of gray silver battered metal look. It requires 2 glass, 2 copper, and 20 steel. And another street light. This one has a bit of an arm rather than that shepherd's crook, and more of a bell housing for the lamp inside. We can take a line from this street light over to this street light, and it looks like that. It requires 2 glass, 2 copper, and 20 steel. Our next new light is a traffic light. It requires ambient power, so we should be able to place it right here on the tree, and it will light right on up. Now, if we come out of the settlement interface, there doesn't appear to be any sort of interaction with it, so it's just going to cycle through its red, yellow, and green color scheme. Back into power and lights, back to the lights, and we have a table lamp blue. Oh, wait, Did I mention that the traffic light requires 2 glass, 2 copper, and 4 steel? Anyway, back to the table lamp blue. We can set that on the edge of the stairs here. It requires 1 glass, 1 copper, 1 ceramic, and 2 steel, and looks like that. Next we have a yellow table lamp. We'll put that on the other side of the stairs. Requires 1 glass, 1 copper, 1 ceramic, and 2 steel, and ambient power. Here we have a new ceiling light. And again, everything new has that little green plus symbol next to it. So we could put that like right inside the doorway here. It requires 1 glass, 1 copper, and 2 steel, and looks like that. Here we have a wall sconce type light. We could say put that here on this side of our door. It requires 1 glass, 1 copper, and 2 steel, and looks like that. And a double version of something similar. It slides the housing to either end. It requires 1 glass, 1 copper, and 2 steel, also ambient power, and looks like that. Here we have a fancy wall sconce, something like the candle wall sconces that are in the door that we put down in the decoration video. It looks like this, requires 1 glass, 1 copper, and 2 steel, and a single arm version that requires 1 glass, 1 copper, and 2 steel, and looks like this. We also have string of lights, which requires 1 glass, 1 copper, and 2 steel, and we'll see if we can't get it to live just inside the curve of our curved wall. And it looks like this. It requires, I believe I said 1 glass, 1 copper, and 2 steel, but if I didn't, that's what it requires. And if we come out of the settlement interface, there is no interaction with this one either. Going back into the settlement interface, back into lights, we'll go right on by the string of lights and look for the next new thing, which is this fluorescent light. And why don't we see if we can add some lighting into the interior of the shop here. Although we won't have power for it. Let's try it over here then. Maybe something like that. And it requires 1 glass, 1 copper, and 2 steel, and has that very industrial look to it. The next we have is a subway light, which is also a fluorescent fixture. We'll see if we're in the ambient range here. It requires 1 glass, 1 copper, and 2 steel. And looks like that. We can put another one here just to add a little bit more light. Next we have some track lighting, which, okay, here we go, is an aimed track light. It requires 1 glass, 1 copper, and 2 steel, and ambient power. We are just outside that ambient power range. So let's come over here to our connectors once more. We'll add a conduit, I'd say about here should do. We'll tap a line from here over to there, and that was enough to kick our track lighting on. Okay, and next we have a single track light, which we could say spin this direction. It requires 1 glass, 1 copper, and 2 steel, and looks like that. And this is an awesome new addition. This is a track light ground, but you could set this up to be very much like theatrical foot lighting. And we'll go over this later, but there will be a great many fun uses for such a thing, requiring 1 glass, 1 copper, and 2 steel, plus the ambient lights. Let's take a look at what else is new. And we are done with the standard lights, it seems. However, there is a miscellaneous tab, and we can see the little green plus. There is some new miscellaneous options as well. Here we have an old style light box, which requires a link to power, but we have a new smaller light box that requires only ambient power. We can set that down there. Now, if it's like the old light box, you can control it by using it, although this one does not appear to be working, and I'm not entirely sure why. It should be within the ambient power range, so let's pick it up and move it closer to something else just to be absolutely sure. And maybe we'll set it on the edge of our platform here. and try coming out of the interface once more. Well, it doesn't seem to want to draw power that way. Let's see if we connect it. There we go. And if we come out of the settlement interface, you can change the color by just using enter on it. However, another way to do this is to come back into power, back into miscellaneous, and grab yourself a terminal, and we'll put that, say, right there, and then put a line from that to the box, come out of the settlement interface, and use the terminal. It was set on purple. We have light box control. We will set the color to, let's say, green and bright. And then we will exit the terminal. And, well, I wouldn't necessarily call that green, but that might be some of the other lighting also mixing, color mixing in with it. Let's try another color just for the sake of anything. Let's try red and go with dim. Maybe it was the power value that was overriding the color so much. And there we have it set to red. I have another video that discusses control with lighting, and I will put a link to that in the cards, that small little eye in the upper right hand corner here. Okay, and back into the settlement interface we go, back into miscellaneous, and let's see if we can find anything else that's new. A cycling light. This is definitely new. Let's put that right here. It requires 1 power, which I did not actually plan for. So let's grab it, and we're going to have to move it someplace where we can bring a line of power to it. Maybe we can put it here. We'll take a line from this to that, and now we have power going to the light, but we can also, just like that light box, control the color by using it. And I suspect by using the terminal, if we hook that up to it as well. Kind of looks like a bug light right now. Let's put something more fun in here. There we go. All right. And I may do a more detailed look at control and terminals, especially if you folks seem interested in it. If you are, let me know in the comments. Okay, back into the settlement interface, back into power, back into miscellaneous, and aside from the cycling light, what do we have? We have an oversized Nixie tube. Let's set that right there, and we will tap a line off of this to there, and here is our Nixie tube. We will exit the settlement interface, and by using the Nixie tube, we can change the number that it's set to. This is something we may be able to use the terminal with, but I think that we are already running up a significant amount of time looking just at the new things. Again, I think I will add something new if you're interested. Alright, let's go back into the settlement interface. And back under miscellaneous, we have a decontamination arch. It requires 4 copper, 8 aluminum, 4 circuitry, 6 fiber optics, and 5 rubber, and 2 power. Let's set that down here in between our 2 lovely streetlights. And just for consistency's sake, I forgot to mention this. The Nixie tube requires 4 copper, 1 ceramic, and 1 steel in ambient power. The cycling light requires 1 glass. That's this light over here. 1 copper and 2 steel and 1 power. And the little light box, which is back over on the stairs, requires 1 glass, 1 copper, and 2 steel. Now, back to our arch. We can draw a line off one of the streetlights to the arch, and let's see how this works. We'll use the arch, and we can walk through. I'm already clean of radiation. Let's see what I have in my bag. I don't know that I have anything that I could actually irradiate myself with. Oh, maybe some food. Probably have something in here. Instamash, 3 rads. and Mirelurk meat. Okay, so we've picked up some radiation, and going through the arch, which is still running, cleared that right up. I don't know if we have to shut that down. Yes, we do have to shut that down manually. Okay, good to know. All right, let's take a look and see what else we have here. And what we have is neon. So we have neon alphabetic letters here, and they all seem to require ambient power. So we could put up anything from A through Z, and then this looks like an apostrophe, quotation marks, a dash, exclamation point, question mark, numbers 0 through 9, and we have that in white, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Well, let's put up some purple. How about a C and a P? We'll have checkers prefect. There we go. And now we have neon signs. So here we have an open sign. That appears to be the only neon sign at the moment. It requires 1 glass and 2 steel. We'll put that right there, and it cycles through its letters. Let's take a look at the letters individually. Require 1 glass and 2 steel and ambient power. And the same for the symbols and numbers. Alrighty, I think that is actually everything that is new in power and lighting in the Wasteland Workshop DLC. I would like to remind you that if you look in the upper right hand corner, you will see that small letter I with a white circle around it. And you may need to move your mouse around or touch the screen if you're on a mobile device, but the little I will be there, and if you touch it, you will bring down a menu of other videos like the other ones that I've been mentioning throughout this video, and clicking on them will take you to those videos. I would also like to remind you that I have a Twitter link in the description of the video and on my channel main page. If you're on mobile, it'll be on my channel about page. I would like to thank you for watching. I hope you found the video informative and maybe just a little entertaining. I would like to invite you to subscribe, like, and share if you so desire, and ask you to please take care.